It was a quiet afternoon. The sun had begun to lower itself behind the clouds, casting a soft grey over the road. The air was heavy, and the only sound was the occasional rush of cars speeding past. By the edge of a shallow, filthy roadside pond, an old sack lay half submerged in mud and water. At first glance, it looked like discarded garbage, just another piece of waste in an already neglected place. To any passerby, it would have looked like just another piece of trash dumped where no one cared. But then, it shifted, barely, a tremble, too faint for most to notice. And inside that bag were two lives, a kitten and a puppy, bound tightly together and left to die in silence. They couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 months old. Someone had tied the sack closed, as if to erase their existence. No chance to escape. No hope. No mercy. Whatever heartless hands did this intended for them to be gone quietly, cruelly. And yet, they did survive. Nobody had stopped. Dozens must have walked or driven past that spot without noticing, or worse, choosing not to care. But fate had other plans. A young woman and her little brother were walking home from the market. The girl was in her early 20s, practical and kind. Her brother trailed behind her, kicking at stones and dragging a plastic bag filled with leftover snacks. As they neared the pond, the girl noticed something strange. A twitch, a subtle, barely there movement from the pile by the water. She squinted, took a step closer. Then she heard it, a faint, heart-wrenching whimper. 2 tiny animals, soaked and shaking, covered in mud and filth. Their eyes were open but glazed with fear. Their bodies were too weak to even struggle. They just stared, helpless. Without hesitation, the girl plunged her hands into the water and gently lifted them out. The mud clung to their fur like a second skin. She could feel how thin they were, skin stretched over fragile bones. They didn't make a sound, just shivered. She carried the animals to a patch of dry ground, far enough from the pond. The kitten and the puppy still clung to each other. They didn't resist. They couldn't. It was as if they had accepted their fate. But now, fate is changing. When they got home, the girl carefully set them down in a warm towel. She prepared a shallow basin with water, checking the temperature again and again. Gently, she placed them in. The water quickly turned brown as the mud melted away, revealing wounds, scratches, and bald patches of skin. The ginger kitten was especially striking, even in such a sorry state. It didn't hiss or scratch. Instead, it leaned softly against the puppy's body, eyes half closed. The puppy remained still, breathing faintly, ears twitching with every gentle splash of water. Despite the trauma, neither of them seemed aggressive. They were calm, maybe even relieved, as if finally someone had seen them. Tears welled in the girl's eyes. She wondered how long they had been out there, how much pain they had endured. The fact that they still looked at her with trust was almost too much to bear. When the bath was done, she wrapped them in dry towels and sat with them on the floor. The animals huddled close. The kitten leaned over, and a moment of heartbreaking tenderness began licking the puppy's face, slow, deliberate, comforting strokes, as if to say, "I'm still here. We're still here." She trimmed their overgrown nails with small scissors, careful not to cut too deep. She checked the puppy's infected ear and applied ointment, her hands steady even as her heart broke. The puppy didn't even whine. The girl prepared food soft and warm, suitable for fragile stomachs. When she placed the bowls in front of them, they hesitated for just a second before eating. Slowly at first, then desperately. Their bodies were so thin. She could tell they hadn't eaten properly in days. As they ate, she sat beside them and stroked their backs. The kitten paused between bites to look up at her with calm, golden eyes. The puppy nudged closer to her hand, as if to say thank you without words. She watched them with tears in her eyes. Who could have done this? Who could throw away lives so carelessly, like trash? She had no answer. But she made a choice. When the meal was over, exhaustion took over. The kitten gave itself a final quick groom, then curled up beside the puppy and drifted into sleep. The puppy followed moments later. The room fell quiet. The girl sat watching them, unable to look away. How could someone do this? How could anyone see these gentle, innocent souls and choose to hurt them? She didn't have answers, but she did have a decision. She gave them names. The kitten would be called Sunny, because even after everything, it still had light in its eyes. The puppy River for the place where he nearly lost his life, and where he found a second chance. The girl and her brother made them a home, took them to the vet, bought proper food, medicine, toys. With each day, the light in Sunny's eyes grew brighter. River's tail began to wag more often. They gained weight. They began to play, cautiously at first, then with bursts of joy. They explored the apartment, chased each other in circles, and curled up together when they were tired. And the girl? She changed too. She found herself waking early to check on them, staying up late to make sure they were warm. She took pictures, laughed at their antics, grew fiercely protective. In saving them, she had discovered something she didn't even know she needed. A sense of purpose, of connection. Because these weren't just pets now. They were family. In a world that had tried to forget them, they had found someone who chose to care, who didn't turn away, who believed they were worth saving. As the weeks passed, Sunny and River began to blossom. Sunny learned to chase feathers tied to strings, leaping higher each day with newfound strength. River discovered the joy of belly rubs and afternoon naps in patches of sunlight. They made a habit of waiting by the door when the girl came home, tails wagging, eyes gleaming with recognition. And every night, they curled up beside her bed not out of fear, but comfort. The fear in their eyes faded, replaced by something fragile but beautiful. Trust. They had not only survived, they were learning how to live. And that's what this story is about. It's not just about a kitten or a puppy. It's about all the ones we pass by. All the lives we decide not to see. All the creatures who ask for so little, just food, warmth, and kindness, and are given pain instead. So let Sunny and River be a reminder. Not everyone gets rescued. Not everyone is found. But they were. And because they were, we tell their story. For those still waiting in the dark. For those still hoping to be seen. To anyone listening, if you cannot love them, at least do not harm them. And to Sunny and River, sleep well, little ones. You're safe now. You're home. No one will ever throw you away again.